Welcome, Degens, far and wide, to the Degen Docs. What is up, folks? It is NFL Week 9. It is Halloween. We got college football Week 10, the World Series. We can stop caring about baseball. It is all football all the time. NFL Week 9. We are here. It is the betting picks and fantasy tips. That is right, folks. We're going to go through all the biggest injuries, all the ones whether they got fantasy applications or they got NFL betting applications. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking props. We're going to be talking about love-hate fantasy world. And, of course, we're going to give out our best bets. And we'll finish you off with a little Degen parlay. So, without further ado, this Degen Docs NFL Week 9 betting picks and fantasy tips on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code SGPNDOC to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football in the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, folks, I'm one of your hosts here, the Degen Doc, the OG Degen Doc. However, more importantly, I am joined by my brother in degeneracy, Mr. Derek Bennett, a.k.a. Professor Locks. How we doing tonight, brother?
Hey, I am doing well, but I just want to check on you after that brutal Monday night loss that your Giants took to my Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I appreciate the wellness check. It's all right. Good thing I got the New York Yankees to fall back on. Oh, wait, they fucking suck too and can't get out of the fifth inning. Yeah, man.
Been a rough week for the Fearons.
Well, for half of them, I mean, Jen was definitely happy with the Lurs getting that W. And let's be honest, the Steelers are definitely going to be the team that, if any of them, are going to do something in the playoffs. So looking good there at 6-2 now. I know we both took them over 8.5 wins. That looks like it's well on its way. We sprinkled some. Do we take them on the division at all? I know I've bet them throughout the season now.
I don't know,
but we were definitely a pro Pittsburgh podcast, and that's playing off pretty well, both in the NFL and the college streets. 7-0 Pitt's got a big gain up in Dallas against SMU. And
big time football city over there in Pittsburgh, and we'll see how this second half of the NFL season ends up, and really the college season too. I mean, Pitt has a couple big games coming up. SMU this week
on the road. Yeah, they've only played two road games up until this point, and as you mentioned earlier in the Steelers outlook, the Steelers back half of that schedule is a lot more of a gauntlet than the first half. So we shall see. But how rude of me. Before we get too far into the show, look, folks, we appreciate you hanging out with us. So cheers to you. A special Halloween cheers to you. Hopefully, if you're sitting here hanging out with us, you're not on kiddo duty, or maybe you're just got us hanging out in your ear and you're just helping to pass out some candy. We will help you by the time there. So,
hey, just speaking of Halloween, favorite Halloween candy. What were you looking for as a kid to get dropped in your bag to get, to fish out of a bowl?
That's a good question. Damn. Do I have, I'm thinking of all the ones I like when I'm older. I'm a big Raisinets guy, but no way you were getting that at fucking Halloween.
Raisinets?
I know. I'm a Raisinets and red licorice right now is what I like. So I'm like, no fucking kid wanted that. I don't know.
You just want shitty candies.
I know. I was like an old.
Is that what the Army does to you? Just takes away all of your taste buds, make you want to eat just shitty, dried out raisins and Twizzlers. Come on.
Yeah, I was hoping for MREs back in the day. That's what I was looking for as a kid. Why don't you give yours? Because clearly, I'm trying to think of the one. Oh, Tootsie Rolls. Tootsie Rolls. That's what it was.
Tootsie Rolls.
Big Tootsie Roll kid. Yep.
Okay. No, I'm going for Reese's Cups, Twix. Give me like actual candy bars.
Okay.
I live out in BFE, Ohio, right? So we would usually not get the full size candy bars, but most houses you walk up to, they're like, yeah, just reach in, grab a handful, or they'd be passing out like,
wow, that's a lot of trust.
Yeah, either that or like there'd be some little old lady sitting out there handing out little Debbie cakes or like full cans of pop. Like there was one stop that we'd always stop out. She would hand out like full cans of Coke or whatever, and we're like, heck yeah, as like 7-year-olds. And it was awesome.
There you go. No, yeah, definitely. happy Halloween to everybody who's deciding to partake there. It's definitely if you got the kiddos. I know it's always fun. Do you now? I mean, now I guess in the professor realm, are you dressing up at work? I had this conversation today. Do you dress up at all, or would you?
As for Halloween,
Yeah.
no. I was never a fan of dressing up and going trick or treating to begin with. I was that kid. Once I got into college, so there were other aspects that talked me into
There were
dressing up a little bit
motivation
more.
to go out and partake.
Exactly. But speaking of my professorship, and I was bringing up, the old lady that would bring out the cans of Coke or whatever to pass
Okay.
out to us. I was looking around online and searching, flipping through my phone earlier this week, and I come across a story about our old buddy Aaron Rodgers
Oh,
and how he has found the fountain of youth in a beverage. And so for the next couple minutes, I am going to again hijack this show, um, take kick you completely off here. We're going to the office hours. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers has found the fountain of youth, and for whatever reason, he thinks that cayenne pepper mixed with some water is the new up and coming thing that he has to do. So I started digging. What is the benefits to consuming cayenne pepper with water? And you know what I found? Absolutely nothing. The whole thing's bullshit. Okay. The only thing that cayenne pepper does, it is a thermogenic. Basically, what that means is it makes your metabolism work a little bit harder. Basically, makes your digestive system work a little bit harder. So if he thinks that getting the shits makes him a better quarterback, by all means, that's great. But I did do some research as a professor, and I found an article that was done. I don't know where. Here's the article. Study the effects of cayenne pepper powder on foot inflammation in male albino rats. Now, I'm not calling Aaron Rodgers a male albino rat, but we do know that he is a male and he has had foot and ankle issues in the past. He did tear his Achilles. He thought he was going to come back in like 2 weeks off of an Achilles rupture. I still don't completely understand that. But I did go through this, and it said the study aimed to assess the impact of different concentrations on cayenne pepper, yada, 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 on hind paw edema inflammation in male adult rats. Well, Aaron Rodgers is a male. He's an adult, and he's had hind paw edema. Not too far back. But this was done over a 28-day period. They did find that it helped with these rats, edema, inflammation, swelling, all of this thing. So, will Aaron Rodgers find the fountain of youth over the next 2 weeks? I don't know. But by the fourth week, by that 28-day period, I fully expect him to be the Aaron Rodgers of old and get rid of the AGE disease that he has as a quarterback.
wow. Look, folks, I got to tell you, I was not briefed on this before the show. I was learning and taking this all in as with you all. And thank you, Professor. I thought that was pretty helpful. Basically, he's full of shit and he's trying to get rid of his shit. So,
Yes, that's
all
what I'm
right.
saying.
I like it.
That's
Hell
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
All right, folks. We'll give it up for the professor there and his office hours. And we want to thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Degen Docs. If you can head on over to Spotify right now, yes, you, right fucking now, and give us a 5-star rating and review, only you can prevent corporate gambling from taking over. As we said, as a new show, we appreciate all likes, comments, subscribes, feedback, all that good stuff. So thank you, folks. And without further ado, let's get into it. And let's go ahead and start with a quick injury update. We're going to tell you guys injury analysis, biggest news. Again, Thursday show a lot quicker than the Monday show with the injury stuff because we got a lot of shit to get to. So if you have specific questions about guys, you need to get them in the chat right now. One thing I will say as we were going live, something that popped up, Puka Nacua left practice with a knee injury, officially limited, which just means he was practicing and now he got out of practice. So the limited thing, don't read too much into that. But Same knee that he had the PCL strain on. We don't know anything right now. Everyone's going to speculate. I would not jump one side or the other just yet, but obviously a bit concerning whether you have Puka Nacua in fantasy or if you're a Rams backer this week, like one of us may be later in the show. So just really quick, because that just happened. It really not a lot of info yet, so definitely more to follow. That's a good reason for you to go ahead and follow us on social, because of course we'll be putting all that out later in the week as we get more information. So let's talk about some guys we actually got some info on. Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins. Why don't you tell us about him?
Yeah, so he has a quad related injury. He hasn't practiced the last 2 days. What would you say your biggest concern is with T? Are you expecting him to play this weekend? Are you expecting him to produce?
Yeah, no, I mean, I talked about this earlier, but essentially we got to remember he hasn't had the 2 full weeks to recover. He picked up his injury late last week, Friday last week. So he's basically, he hasn't even hit a week yet of this injury being a thing. So it's a bit concerning, right? 2 straight days of no practice, not what you want to see. I'm not surprised though. And I'd be shocked if he does play this week. So I think I'm pretty pessimistic on T. Higgins right now. And I think that's going to lead to one of the other guys we got talking about here. Are we going to talk about him later? Let me make sure. We might not, but we will a little bit. But that Mike Gesicki is a guy that you want to look for that can step up and kind of take over that role with Higgins out. Next guy up, courtesy of Jason. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Jason. Thoughts on Lamar? And this is a bit of an interesting one here. Lamar Jackson, no practice on Wednesday, not a big deal. They said it was a rest thing, although they listed back and knee. Now, second straight day, no practice. Now, what are we thinking about this back and knee? I'll give my opinion, and then I'll let Derek do this. So kind of 2 things popping in my head. The first thing is, oh boy, we heard this with Christian McCaffrey, where it was like, oh, I'm just going to throw Achilles on there. Don't worry about it. And then clearly it was a big thing. No, I don't think it's that, but the fact that they put back and knee, why didn't they just put rest? If it was truly rest, they can do that. You can do a veteran rest day. However, he did finish the game, and he didn't pick up a noticeable injury. There was no noticeable limp or anything. So I'm not reading too far into this. I think he plays. I think he practices tomorrow, and I think he plays. Now, what are your thoughts?
I would tend to agree with you. There really haven't been any signs, any reports out there to say or really show that, he tweaked his knee, he tweaked his back, he played last week, he looked awesome. I think we're getting to the midpoint of the season where coaches, training staffs are just becoming a little bit more cautious with some of these dudes. I mean, everybody's going to be beat up after 8-9 weeks of an NFL season. So I fully expect Lamar to go this weekend. Now, will he be as agile as usual? It is kind of the big question, but I do fully expect him to play.
Yeah, no,
based on the information we have. Like you said, we just don't have much right now.
No, I think we're right. Yeah, right there. I'm not freaking out just yet. Obviously, something to keep your eye on. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Let's talk about. I'll go through some quick ones, and then we'll get into some bigger guys. Cowboys dealing with some injuries. They thought they were going to get Deron Bland back. He might, but he did not practice today. No, neither did Trayvon Diggs, and neither did Micah Parsons. So that defense, although there was a chance all those guys could be back still, I mean, there still is one, but to not practice on Thursday, all 3 of those guys, not a great sign for Dallas.
No.
Also, the Browns dealing with some
before we move on from that, I mean, this will be week 4 for Micah Parsons. So should they have IR'd him? Yes, probably so. And we were saying that, 4 or 5 weeks ago when he got injured, but
he'll be coming up on 6 weeks if this Sunday of recovery time. Now they did have a bye week in the middle there, but you're like you said, maybe they should have just IR'd him because he's, like the Mike McCarthy was saying, he just hasn't cleared to practice yet. Browns, Zadarius Smith a little bit beat up. Linebacker Joke Owosu Koromoa. He is, I like that. He's out this week with a neck injury. It was a scary scene. He got stretchered off. He was able to move his extremities. He was released from the hospital. So nothing too scary, but he might be out a couple weeks. I mean, you don't go from on the stretcher in the hospital to back on the field the next week. So he's already been ruled out. David Njoku is a guy who's dealing with a bit of an ankle sprain, has not practiced this week yet. Any concerns there, or what are we thinking with Njoku?
Yeah, I mean, especially with Njoku showing some life last week, once Jameis came into the picture here, something to be a little bit concerned with. I think the matchup in general is my biggest concern. Going up against the Chargers defense that has been pretty lights out for the most of the season. I think it's going to be hard for the Browns to move the ball in general. Do I expect Njoku to suit up? Yes. Well, I think he's going to be super effective going up against a guy like Derwin James. Maybe not.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, Derwin James, definitely a guy who can shut some people down there. So I like that. All right, moving forward, Bucky Irving, running back there, he's going to be dealing with a toe injury, and it sounds like he's going to manage it all season. Likely a type of turf toe injury. It can be nagging. It can aggravate. So although I don't love it, obviously you can be somewhat productive while still playing on it. What are your thoughts on Bucky Irving playing with this toe injury all season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where we've seen Bucky in the last couple weeks be a lot more explosive than Rachaad White. And even though it's going to have to be managed all season, I don't necessarily think he's going to take too big of a step back unless it becomes more aggravated, right? And if that's the case, then, he may have to sit out a game or two. But for the time being, I think it is kind of a two-horse stable down there in Tampa. But like I said, I think Bucky has shown that he is kind of that more explosive dude to this point in the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, definitely, it's just one of those things where it's always in the back of your mind, like, damn, I really hope he doesn't re-injure it this week when I roll him out in my lineup.
Right.
Drake, we'll kind of go through some rapid fire here. Again, if you have questions on specific guys, please drop them in the chat and we'll spend a little more time on them. We'll talk about some concussions. Drake May, 2 limited practices already. That's pretty impressive. When he had a Wednesday limited practice, you don't see that much. Obviously, you need that Friday full practice, but he's got a damn good chance to play this week. We will see. And then another guy who I call doubtful out of pure optimism as a fan, but Tyrone Tracy. Only with 6 days to clear the concussion protocol playing off Monday night. He was able to get a limited practice today after, doing some field work yesterday. If he gets that full practice like he's trending towards, he will play, and he's got a great matchup against a Washington defense that still does not have Jonathan Allen. So that would be pretty interesting. What are your thoughts on May and Tracy?
Yeah, I think as we've talked about many times, like getting that limited practice at least today, and Drake May got one yesterday, which is awesome, is really key for return the following week. Hasn't happened a ton to this point in the season, but here's 2 perfect cases that we're seeing those limited tags today. As long as we get those full tags tomorrow, expect them to be in the lineup. And especially with Drake May's situation, you already have 2 limited practice. I don't know why he wouldn't necessarily get that full bump up to a full practice tomorrow. And from a Patriots standpoint, the Titans have had a fairly solid defense, but they're pretty beat up as well. And it's a fairly favorable matchup for the Patriots, in my opinion. For the Giants, they have owned the Commanders over the last few years, and Tyrone Tracy would definitely be a solid addition to that lineup this week.
Yeah, no, we definitely need him to have any type of chance to keep up with that Washington offense. All right, I'm going to do some quick hitters here, and then we're going to head over to this Thursday night game. Anyone you definitely want to talk about while I buzz around here?
No, I think we've hit on the big ones. We're expecting Derek Carr to return this week, so that should give the Saints offense a little bit of a bump. Jordan Brooks with the Panthers has practiced.
Jonathan Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks. Jordan Brooks is a wrestler. But anyways, Jonathan Brooks, second straight day, full practice. Do we expect him to start to get some carries for Carolina this week? Potentially. Do I expect him to get a full load? No, especially with Chuba Hubbard still being there. But no, I think, like you said, I think we've touched on most of the big ones.
Yeah, I will do some rapid fire here. Zamir White not practicing. It's okay. He sucks anyway. Goddard likely going to be out. Chargers, DJ Chark, Quentin Johnson, and Hayden Hurst all fully practiced. So it looks like they're getting a bit healthier there on that end as well. Do we touch Jordan Love?
We have not.
All right, Jordan Love, a quick one, really. Groin injury. Look, he got injured, then he re-injured it, and then he was out for the game. Didn't practice yesterday. Didn't expect him to. Limited today. He's kind of on track, trending. My opinion, we talked about it Monday. I would rather have a fully healthy Malik Willis than Jordan Love on one leg. I think he runs a limited mobility and a re-injury risk here with this groin strain, only 7 days off of it. He's a guy that they like to push to play, so we'll see. But Jordan Love already has huge variance in whether he's going to throw for 3 touchdowns or 3 interceptions. So him with limited mobility, I think this Detroit Lions fan base and defense should be very happy. Definitely. Any thoughts differing on Love there?
No, I completely agree with that. And as a Lions supporter this week, I hope that he plays.
Yeah. All right, folks. Look, we have football tonight. We've got a game in about 15 minutes, so we got to get you some action on this here. We have the Houston Texans heading to New York to take on the New York Jets. The Houston Texans sitting at 6-2 or road underdogs, plus 120 on the money line, and the Jets minus 142 on the other way. I know this line is probably all over the place right now. This is what we had it at a little bit earlier. Over under sitting at around 43. So let's go through some injury news as we always do. Do you want to give the live lines?
Sure. Houston is still 2.5-point dogs at plus 100 right now. Jets are favored by 2.5 at minus 120. Total is still sitting at 43.5 now. The Texans are plus 124 on the money line, and the Jets are minus 148.
That's it's just so fucking crazy, man. There's a lot of faith in the Jets, but let's go through the injuries, and then we'll talk about how we see this game, and of course, give out our bets. Yeah. Texans, it's pretty cut and dry. It's kind of nice. We already have inactives and things like that. Out, linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair missing a second straight game with a knee. Inside linebacker left guard Jarrett Patterson out with a concussion. Jimmy Ward out again with a groin injury. Big ones, Stephon Diggs out for the season with an ACL tear. Nico Collins out for this game. Last game that he's not eligible to come back. He is expected, no setbacks, expected to come back next week against Detroit. So we shall see, but obviously not tonight. They are getting back cornerback Kamari Lassiter, rookie out of Georgia, from his shoulder injury, and linebacker Henry To'oTo'o, one of the leading tacklers for the team, is back. On the Jets side of the ball, we've got their defensive captain and leading tackler of last couple seasons, CJ Mosley, dealing with a neck injury, already seeing a specialist. Not a good sign here. Obviously ruled out for tonight, but I'm worried about something a lot more long-term here for Mosley. Also, wide receiver position is beat up for the Houston Texans, and that's the safety position for the New York Jets. Starter Chuck Clark on IR, both backups, Tony Adams and Ashton Davis, also out as well. Rodgers' buddy Alan Lazard out not only tonight, but also was put on the IR. He's going to be out at least 4 weeks. And then right guard Elijah Vera Tucker is out as well. They do get back right tackle Morgan Moses, cornerback Michael Carter. Rodgers will be playing, although old, maybe due to that cayenne lesson we learned about earlier. And Quinn Williams, Hassan Reddick, good to go. So, my friend, how do you see this game going? And what bets are you going to be on tonight?
The thing, as far as what is on our screen currently in terms of the lines, the total, those kind of things, my best bet for tonight would be the under 43.5 points, I believe, is what I just wrote off. I just think in general, the NFL has set us up for a trick instead of a treat for tonight. I don't think either of these offenses are going to be able to get much done. I believe both of them together, if we put their team totals up, they would average about 41 points a game. So give me the under for the game. I am more so on the Texans. I bet the Texans mostly because the Jets suck. to put it bluntly. I mean, I think these are two franchises that are going in completely opposite directions. The Jets are so unstable at this point. They've lost 5 straight. Houston hasn't looked great, but they have been winning. So even on a road spot, and I know last time CJ Stroud went and played the Jets, he threw up a stinker last year. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think Will Anderson and Hunter
Hunter,
will eat tonight and really get after that Jets offensive line, especially knowing that Morgan Moses is questionable. Vera Tucker is already out. I think those guys just get after Aaron Rodgers pretty much all night long. So I do like Breece Hall's receiving over 30.5. I think it's just a perfect dump off spot for him. Give me Joe Mixon, his over rushing yards at 82.5. And then I will say between the two big time receivers for the Jets, I do like Garrett Wilson a little bit more so in this game. I think Stingley will lock up Adams tonight and really take him away. But those are probably my biggest plays for tonight. What say you?
Yeah, no, I like it. Well, first off, I will start with dropping a nice, juicy, big John Hancock on that underplay there. I'm also on the under. I think this is going to be an ugly game. I think we're going to get a lot more field goals than touchdowns. And hey, Greg the Leg opted out to be on the IR, so maybe some of them will go in. But I do think ultimately it's going to be under 43, under 43.5, whatever you get it at. I think it's two offensives that, despite having so much, promise and potential and weapons, I think both these defenses are ahead of these offenses right now, especially in the passing game. I think, like you talked about, the running game, there might be some exposure. So look for some running clocks, but look for some negative plays with some sacks and things of that nature. So that's where I'm going with. On the prop side of the ball, give me Aaron Rodgers under 215.5 passing yards at plus 135. Oddly enough, I also don't love a side on either way. These are not two teams I really want to bet on. Both of them, despite the Texans, I know they're 6-2. They don't look like a 6-2 team right now. They look like a team that's ready to lay an egg any minute now. And the Jets, how the hell do you trust the Jets? I mean, shit. It's just they've got all the Infinity Stones and still none of the wins. So Aaron Rodgers under 215.5. I think that they're going to try to pound the rock. And if I do think a team does actually kind of get into blowout territory, as weirdly as it sounds, I think it is the Jets. I think we could see potentially a 30-3 or 7 or 10 game there. We'll see, but I do think both these offenses may struggle. Give me Rodgers with under the passing yards plus 135. Braylon Allen. We talked about the run games. The Houston Texans, both these pass defenses only giving up about 160, 165 yards through the air. Yep. It's on the ground where they're susceptible. I think Breece Hall is a chalky play. I'm sure he gets his, but I'm going to go Braylon Allen over 25.5 rush yards at plus 130. He's a guy who they basically split carries last week. So if we get anywhere at that type of volume, I think he's going to be there. To round it out for the Jets, Tyler Conklin, 25 plus yards at plus 105 and anytime touchdown plus 370. He's a guy who scored in the past 2 weeks. He's taking over for that Allen Lazard role. Allen Lazard leads the team with 5 touchdowns. So there's going to be opportunity there. I think the sprinkle, might be a Jeremy Ruckert play, but I do think Tyler Conklin is able to get his. I think Rodgers likes to look for some big targets over the middle in the red zone. So I think Conklin is the guy. Also, Quinnen Williams over quarter of a sack at plus 105. Both these teams are a little bit beat up in the offensive line. He's probably going to be going up against a backup, taking over for Jarrett Patterson. Like that idea. And then Danico Autry, a guy who spent 6 weeks worrying about his taking some performance-enhancing drugs, trying to figure out how to get back on the field. I think he has a little bit, like you mentioned, I think Hunter, I think Anderson are do well, but I think they start pushing him into some other guys. And at plus 270, I like the price there. Last one, Dalton Schultz over 45.5, plus 125. Listen, no Nico Collins, no Stephon Diggs. I know Tank Dell's a good wide receiver, but you're going to have some other guys trying to step up. Why not go to your reliable tight end that you already have the connection to over the middle? Again, no CJ Mosley. 3 safeties out for the Jets. I think the middle of the field is going to be something they want to take advantage of. So that is how we see this game going down. How say you in the comments section? And while you're doing that, we're going to hop on over to the fantasy world and talk about who we love and hate this week. I will say last week we absolutely smashed this. We told you we hated Amon-Ra St. Brown, 2 catches for 7 yards. We told you we loved Cedric Tillman. We loved George Kittle. Absolute smashes there. So let's continue that momentum. And why don't you start us off with your pick of the litter?
So let me take the love side this week. Josh Allen is Miami's daddy at this point. Josh Allen put up some pretty good numbers earlier in the year. I expect him to do it again at home. So give me Josh Allen to have a pretty good week. Alvin Kamara, same thing, going up against the Carolina Panthers. That is just a shell of an NFL organization to this point. Alvin Kamara should have a pretty good day, especially if New Orleans does get quite a lead. He may get some garbage stats there as well. And then CD Lamb was on our love list last week, and I expect him to have another good week today or this weekend. Going up against the Atlanta Falcons, this might just turn into a shootout. This could be a 35-42 game where CD and Dak are just trying to keep up with Atlanta in that offense. So give me CD to have a pretty good week again.
Yeah, no, well, you talked about who we're high on this week, and I'm going to bring the show down with who that we are just absolutely fading this week. We're going to start with Mr. Joe Burrow. I think it starts with no T. Higgins, and it ends with this Raiders pass defense is actually pretty good. It's just, a lot of times teams are up on them because their offense turns the ball over, puts them in bad spots, which I could definitely see happening with an opportunistic Bengals defense. And they get up early and they don't really need Joe Burrow to throw it all over the yard. Then they simply hand it off to whether it be Zach Moss or Chase Brown. So that's a reason for the fade there on Joey B. And then Alvin Kamara, last time they played the Panthers there, it's kind of another situation where they didn't really need him. So, hold on. What the fuck are we saying here? Clearly, we've been drinking. We can't love and hate Alvin Kamara. So we apologize.
Oops.
Javonte Williams.
Fire the
Yeah, we're gonna have to take the intern out to the back there. But we love Alvin Kamara. We hate Javonte Williams. So apologize for that misstep there. Javonte Williams going up against the Ravens defense that's one of the best in the league against the run. And I think they're gonna struggle. I think they're gonna get behind, and they're gonna have to rely on Bo Nix's arm and potentially his legs to try to come back in that game.
Agreed.
Pretty simple there. And then Cedric Tillman. This one breaks my heart. Derek had to convince me to get into it. Cedric Tillman, a guy who has made me a lot of money and won me some fantasy matchups the past 2 weeks. It's just a situation where Cardinals have a really pass and rush defense. I think Jameis, they had that 1 game bump. Well, I think now people know about Cedric Tillman, right? I think it's a little bit easier when you're someone under the radar. He's not going to be under the radar anymore. So going up against a decent secondary, I think he's going to have a little bit more of a struggle, come back down to earth like he had been the past couple of weeks. So to recap, we love Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, CD Lamb, and we hate Joe Burrow, Javonte Williams, and Cedric Tillman. All right. Let's go ahead and pop on over to our week 9 props. Where are we at with you, my friend? Why don't you start? And I think you have somebody asking you about your cayenne there.
Yeah. Cayenne pepper is a load of shit, basically. It's a load of shit. So Josh Allen, like I said, Josh Allen owns the Miami Dolphins. So at plus money, give me Josh Allen to scoot on in there and get himself a touchdown this weekend. Zachary Ertz, going up against your New York Football Giants. I think they just gave up almost 50 yards to the tight end. Zach Ertz and Jaden Daniels definitely has developed quite a connection to this point. So give me his over receiving yards as well at 36.5 and then, or 34.5, excuse me. And then Patrick Mahomes, give me his over 242.5 this weekend. He just went over this past weekend and going up against a Tampa Bay secondary that has just been giving up all sorts of passing yards. I do think Patrick Mahomes does have himself a little bit of a day, even though he has not shown to be that, generational talent to this point this year. So give me Patrick Mahomes to have himself a day.
No, I actually, I really like that Mahomes play. I think there's ladder opportunity there, absolutely, against a very bad Bucs defense, pass defense.
It will be played. Yep.
Joe Flacco. Give me Joe Flacco. 250 plus passing yards, plus 120 against the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings team where they've given up a shit ton of yards. They average 265, I believe, on the year. So it's a situation where Joe Flacco still got it, man. He can come off the couch and he can sling it. So I like him to continue it on there. They're 5-point underdogs right now. So Vegas thinks they're going to be down, which means they're going to be throwing. So it's pretty simple handicap there. Alexander Madison, 60 plus rushing yards at plus 135. He's been named the starter. He should be the starter. Zamir White sucks as much as it stinks for my early season takes. And this Bengals defense, rush defense especially, I'm not sold on. Madison's hit this in 2 out of his past 4 weeks. I think we can get some nice plus money there. This is another guy I'll probably be laddering. I know people might be a little bit coming around on the Bengals defense, but I am definitely not. They just got beat up by Philly. I still don't think they're very good, especially on the ground. And let's be honest, with Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, the Raiders need to run the ball if they're going to have any chance in this game. So I think they do that, and Madison has some success. And then Taysom Hill. I think it's a perfect time to have a vintage Taysom Hill game. I will be on some anytime touchdowns, some 2-touchdown type madness, because I think it's a perfect opportunity for him to just take advantage of a very bad Carolina defense like he likes to do. So give me his rushing yards over 25.5 at plus 140. He had 35 yards last time he played him early in the season. So I have no reason to believe this is going to change. All right, my friend, let's tell the good people about Underdog Fantasy. That's right, Underdog Fantasy. It is Boostober. It's the last day of Boostober. So get those boosts in. Take some of those plays we gave out on Thursday night and rush on over to Underdog Fantasy. But before you do, use promo code SGPNDocs to get a 50% deposit max up to $1,000 in bonus cash. They got NFL. They got college football, MLB, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, and all that other jazz. But it's all football all the time. So we've got one for tonight, and we've got one for this entire weekend. We're going to give it out pretty quickly. Why don't you give out the first pick for tonight, and then I will wrap us up there so we can get this in before this game kicks off.
For sure. Yeah. We've already touched on Breece Hall, how he might be that outlet for Aaron Rodgers tonight. So give us the higher on his receiving yards at 31.5. And then Dalton Schultz might be that second option for CJ Stroud tonight, losing 2 of his top receivers. So give us the higher 40.5 receiving yards with Dalton Schultz.
Yep. So we like Hall to get some receiving yards and Schultz. Pair those two together for a nice 3 times your entry over Underdog. For our Underdog play of the week, we've got Bijan Robinson higher than 101.5 rush and receiving yards. We talked about those Dallas injuries to that side of the ball. They've been getting him involved in the passing game, 40-plus yards in the receiving department his last 2 games. I think this Dallas rush defense has been very poor. I think Atlanta's able to have their way with this defense that is really reeling, and a team that's going in the opposite direction that they want to be. So let's let Bijan take advantage of them both through the ground and through the air. Also, Joe Flacco, we just talked about it. He's had he's had higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns in every game he started. So why not against a passing defense that is not very good? So give us a higher there and a little bit of spicy. And then Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram higher than 49.5 receiving yards. Brian Thomas, obviously limited. Gabe Davis, limited. No Christian Kirk. And you know who can't cover? Philadelphia linebackers. Historically, this season, not good. Give it to Evan Ingram to get the ball early and often. Pair those all together and get a nice 7.4 times your entry. All right, folks, we're going to keep this ship moving, and we are going to get to everybody's favorite part of the show. Contest over. Thank you guys for 100 subscribers. Keep that ship rolling, baby. 1,000 is next, so we appreciate you as always. But let's get to our best bets. These are our prescriptions for the week. So we are going to talk about what is this?
I have no idea. That's not your bets.
So why don't you do yours, and then I will give out mine just off acapella.
Is that yours? That is yours.
Oh, there we go. Well, then you're
mine got booted. Yeah, fire the guy that does the graphics. I don't know who that guy is. He sucks.
Who's the graphic guy? Exactly. All right, so I'll give out my best bets for the week. We got Detroit minus 2.5 at minus 112. Detroit Lions, again, I've talked about this. Jordan Love on one leg is not a guy that I want to be backing at all. I think Detroit is firing on all cylinders right now. Obviously, losing Aiden Hutchinson for the year is a loss, but that defense has started to rally. I'm not fully sold on this Packer team, a lot because of the quarterback position. I think Jordan Love, he's got the re-injury risk. And, if this team was coming in fully knowing that Malik Willis was going to be the QB1, I think they have a better chance at home. But if they're going to roll Jordan Love out there on one leg, give me the Detroit Lions at -2.5. Arizona Cardinals, man, I bet against Arizona Cardinals the past 2 weeks. It's bit me in the ass. They're also likely getting back right tackle Jonah Williams. That is a big boost for them. And they're going up against a Bears team that I don't think is frankly very good. They've also got some offensive line injuries. Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins not practicing. Caleb Williams has not looked very good. And when he's not had time to throw, he's looked downright awful. So give me this Arizona Cardinals team to keep that momentum going. A sneaky +320 price in the division to take the NFC West in a team, because I don't believe in the 49ers. We're going to go with the Chargers, laying the short number, -1.5 on the road there in Cleveland. I think that we saw the Jameis Winston one-game bump, and I think that's all it's going to be. I think they come back to earth a little bit. They're getting some guys healthy. I think this Chargers team is a solid team. Herbert's playing well. They've got some weapons coming back. Cleveland Browns dealing with some injuries. No joke. Likely no Denzel Ward as well, which is a big injury, and a beat-up David Njoku. So give me the Chargers there. And then finally, give me the Rams. I know Puka Nacua news is a little bit scary, but the Seattle Seahawks, DK Metcalf still not practicing. Neither is Devin Witherspoon. And Chino Smith is not a guy I want to back right now. Absolutely not. Give me Matt Stafford, whether it's with Cooper Kupp and Puka or just Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams. I still like them to go on the road and take care of business against Seattle. All right, my friend. Looks like you'll have to go off. Little last addition there.
I'm taking up the entire screen here. So I touched on the Detroit Lions and how I'm backing them this weekend, especially if Jordan Love ends up getting the start. And it sounds like they're really pushing him to do so. The Detroit Lions are just on a tear to this point. So give me them as 2.5-point favorites. Give me the Buffalo Bills. Again, I've touched on this a couple of times. The Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen have owned the Miami Dolphins over the past few years. I expect them to do it again at home and cover that 6-point spread. Miami had Tua come back last week, and they just couldn't get that offense fully up and running. They allowed Arizona to come back into that game. I don't think the Buffalo Bills will allow them to do that. I think this will be one of those games where the Bills just run the clock out and don't give Miami much of a chance to get that offense really rolling. Give me the New England Patriots on the money line at +140 going up against the Titans that, Seb and I were both pretty high on the Titans coming in. They have not been there. As far as the quarterback goes, we still have questions. Is it Will Levis? Is it Mason Rudolph? We really don't know what's really going on there. Most of their offense is really beat up. They just dealt Hopkins to the Chiefs. So give me the Patriots to go ahead and cover this line as well as win outright. And then give me the New Orleans Saints to win by 7. We've already seen this game this year against the Carolina Panthers, and they won like 47-10. We do have Derek Carr coming back. Chris Olave is healthy. Alvin Kamara is healthy. New Orleans, I think they have a little bit of a day going up against the Carolina Panthers and end up covering that 7-point spread.
Yeah, I do have to remind you, I'm contractually obligated to remind you that Derek is coming off a 4-0 week on his locks last week, undefeated on the locks last week. So let's take this guy off the screen. Thank you. All right. Let me tell you about Rhythm and BetUS. And don't head out, folks, because we've got our Degen parlay. You got to let some Degen in your life before you get on for the weekend. So right. Rhythm, SGPN's proud partner. Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. That's right, folks. We're not tricking you. We're talking about models. Build your own model or copy one of the top performing models on the leaderboard or press build a model for me. And Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player props and also a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Rhythm went 24-3 in their props for NBA Night 1. So if you are a basketball fan or any fan of ball, That's a solid right there. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Let me tell you about BetUS. That's right, BetUS, bet with the best in the business for the past 30 years. Easy deposit with using cryptocurrency. Get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players always welcome. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know you sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. All right, folks, it's Degen time. And to lead us off, Professor Locke's there. Let's get these people out with a nice fat payout. What do you got?
Yeah, your boy Malik Neighbors hasn't done a whole lot over the past few weeks in terms of scoring touchdowns. I think he gets on the board against the Commandos a couple times this week. So give me Malik Neighbors to score twice. Ramondre Stevenson to score twice as well. I already have mentioned how I like the Pats against the Titans. And then Jalen Hurts to get in the end zone was one of my props. So I went ahead and threw him on there as well to give us a nice 160-1.
Only 160-1. What are you doing to people? You do know my only caveat is you do know Daniel Jones has to throw 2 touchdown passes for that to hit, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Or he gets his head ripped off and
okay.
And we get a backup situation going on.
Okay. Tommy DeVito, maybe.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Here's mine. 4 guys to find the end zone, 4 guys to find Pater, and us to rob the bank. Taysom Hill, anytime touchdown. Talked about him. It's a Taysom Hill day. I feel it in my bones, man. Mike Gesicki, especially if we have no T. Higgins, get on the line now because that number is going to drop. Hayden Hurst coming back off injury. Look, I think that the Los Angeles Chargers are going to have their way with the Cleveland Browns. I think Cleveland Browns had that 1-game bump, and I think they go back to being not a very good team. And then Kyler Murray, I really like the Cardinals. The Bears gave up a touchdown to Jaden Daniels last week. I think they struggle with some of those running guys. They're dealing with some injuries on the back end. So give me Kyler there. Match all those 4 guys together, and that gives you a nice 143-1 payout. All right, my friends. Drinks are looking empty. It's about closing time. What do you got for the good people before we get out of here?
Best of luck to everyone this weekend on your bets. If you're tailing us, great. If you're not, you suck. But follow us on all of the socials, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the things. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a coworker what we're doing over here. We appreciate all the support. If you can send in those reviews, that always helps us to become better. If we're not doing what you want, we're not doing exactly what we're wanting to do. So any tips, hints are helpful, unless you just say, hey, you guys suck, then we're just going to ignore you.
Yeah. Maybe tell you fuck off too, but no, we appreciate any feedback like Derek was saying. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us, man. We hope that you enjoy. Look, last week we cast a nice plus 850 to get the week off nice. We hope that we start doing that this week as well. I will leave you with this, my friends. Don't fade the fucking troops, baby. I am very excited. I will be heading off to West Point tomorrow to watch the Army Black Knights, the undefeated Army Black Knights, one of the 2 teams who has never trailed all season, kick the living shit out of Air Force this weekend. So I hope you are doing something fun this weekend. I will leave you with this. Go Army, beat Air Force, and you know what they say, folks. A lock a day keeps the bookie away. And here at the Degen Docs, we've got your prescription. All right, folks, from here, us at the Degen Docs, let it ride and have some fun. What's up, Degens? Doc here. As a proud member of the U.S. Army and a lover of football, sometimes those 2 things cross over on here. But as you probably already know, as a lowly captain, these are just my opinions. These are not opinions that are representative of the entire DoD or the U.S. Army. The same thing goes for any references to any commercial products or hyperlinks. Again, that does not constitute an endorsement from the DoD or the Army. I hope you enjoyed the show, and as always, let it ride, baby.